Mm-hmm.
I'm good at this. He's good at this.
Okay, so we just got done doing all the equation stuff. Next comes inequalities. So the difference, when I say inequality, what do we have in that? An inequality. What is an inequality?
It's a number. Equal?
It could have, instead of an equal sign, yeah, it has the greater than or less than.
Those signs never make sense.
What?
It eats the bigger one. But either one of them can eat the other number. Like it don't make no sense.
Wow.
No, I'm telling you, I've been okay, just be quiet. It just doesn't.
Okay. So we will use less than when it's like this or this. What does that little bar underneath? Less than or equal to. Greater than, we are flipping it the other way. So it's just a regular greater than or greater than or equal to. All right. When we go to graph these, yes.
Okay, so on the last sign on them, I'm so confused. Like, why is it?
Okay.
So it's equal, because it's equal to.
Okay.
So why is it facing one way or the other way?
Okay.
Why isn't it just
It's greater than 4.
Yes.
Oh.
So when we go to graph these, if it has an equal to, what kind of circle do we use when we plot it? Open or closed? Open or equal to gets a closed circle. If it's just the less than or greater than, it will have an open circle when we look at our graph. Okay. I haven't even taught anything. Just let me talk for a minute. So, we are going to start just by graphing some inequalities. So you have to be able to read what the inequality says. So this says x is less than 3. When we go to graph it, it does not have an equal to. So you have to start, we're going to start at 3, and we'll either do an open or a closed circle. Since it doesn't have an equal to, it's an open circle. All right, and then we have to decide which way we're going to go. So if I said x is less than 3, we want the numbers smaller than 3, so we're going this way. Okay, some tricks for this. As long as your x is on the left, then this inequality kind of points the direction. So if x is on the left, I can see it's like an arrow pointing this way. So I'm shading this way. Okay, it's less than. Can you guys see okay if I write it on my number line? If you're having trouble seeing my open and closed, I can draw them above my number line if I need to. Can you guys see what I wrote all right? So, the next one. This says x is greater than negative 1. Okay, so as long as the x is on the left, this inequality tells you which way is my arrow going?
Right.
To the right. So we start at negative 1. It didn't have an equal to, so we do an open circle at negative 1 and going to the right. So it means any number I pick on that line is bigger than negative 1. 0 is bigger than negative 1. 2 is bigger than negative 1. 5 is bigger than negative 1. All right. This one. How would I read that? X is greater than or equal to 7. So we can see the arrow is showing me we're going to the right. We need things bigger than 7. How do we know if it's open or closed? Right, it has that bar underneath. That means it's an equal to. So the only difference is you do a solid circle at 7. So we could put in 7 because 7 is greater than or equal to 7. Or 2, 8, or 9. Number 4, x is less than or equal to negative 5. So less than would be to the left. Equal to is telling me solid. So it's solid at negative 5 and going to the left. So if you get confused on the less than, greater than, these 4 problems right here showed you every possible scenario. So you can look back at those as we go through today if you get confused. If there's an equal to, it's a closed circle. If there's not, it's an open circle. And then less than goes to the left, greater than goes to the right. Are there questions on any of those? So let's look at going in reverse. If I wanted to figure out what the inequality was for each of these. Okay, so the first one. Where's my dot at? Okay, so we have an x, we have a negative 2. Less than or greater than? Less than. You can look at this arrow, tells you. Does it get an equal to? Nope, because it wasn't a closed circle. No. You could. X is less than negative 2. I was just looking for the inequality. Alright, why don't you guys try the next two? See if you can get them. For 6.
I did it, but like how they taught us.
You don't know what x is. Or you go find
So this one would be x is greater than or equal to 4. What'd you put for 7?
Less than, equal to 0.
And the last one. Alright.
No, I did.
Let's keep going then. When we go to solve these, it's kind of like solving an equation, but you have to flip the inequality when you multiply or divide by a negative number. So all the same rules for solving equations that we've been seeing. If you want to move something to the other side, adding or subtracting, all of that's the same. But if you multiply or divide by a negative, that flips our inequality. So now we're going to solve some inequalities. All right, think of it just like if it had an equal to. What would you do to solve this? So I get 3x is less than negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. And then to get x by itself? Alright, do I have to flip my inequality?
No.
Only if the number we divide by is negative. So I get x is less than negative 2. I gave you a number line, so you just have to put in some number. So I have a negative 2. So less than negative 2, these open circle at negative 2, and going to the left. What? Number 10, what would we do?
Subtract.
Yep. First you have to get rid of any addition or subtraction. So we subtract that 2. So then we have x divided by 6 is greater than negative 3. So then the opposite of dividing by 6 is multiply by 6. As long as it's a positive, nothing changes. So we get x greater than negative 18. And you don't have to label like every single number on your number line. A lot of times I do every other. If you want, just enough that we have a few points. So it would be an open circle at negative 18. And then which way are we going?
Right.
The right. what do we do first? Subtract our 8. So negative 7x is less than or equal to negative 7. Then, we divide by negative, so what happens?
Sign flips.
The sign flips. So it was a less than, it becomes a greater than. We keep the equal to. So you just flip the direction of the inequality. Plot our numbers. Greater than or equal to 1, so equal to tells me a closed circle. And we want everything bigger. Alright. Number 12, what do we do? So I get x divided by negative 8 is less than 3. Opposite of dividing by negative 8, and what would that one do? So I get x is greater than negative 24. In your number line, make sure you put negative 24 and then a few others. Open or close?
Open.
And going to the
Right.
why don't you guys try 13, 14, and 15? So first one, you guys added your 5. So negative 2x is less than or equal to 24, but when you divide by negative 2, what happens? So it's x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So when you graph it, you need a negative 12 on here, put a few more numbers. I just like to do every other one. So greater than or equal to, that would be a closed circle going to the right. Is that one okay? This one. So first step is what? Subtract 3. So we have negative 4x is less than 20. Divide by negative 4, so x is greater than negative 7. No equal to, so open circle going to the right. Is that one good? 15, I think there are a couple more questions on this one. What do we do?
Subtract.
Subtract 5. So we have 3/4 x is greater than 6. Right. There's two ways to get rid of the 3/4.
Divide by 3.
You can divide by 3/4. If you do that on your calculator, all you have to make sure you do is put parentheses around that 3/4. So you can type that in. What's the other option instead of dividing? Yep. You can multiply by the reciprocal, so you can multiply by 4/3. Either way, it's a positive, so nothing flips, and you get
12.
8.
Do what? You stupid.
So if you multiply by the reciprocal, you have 6 times 4/3. So 6 times 4 gives you 24 divided by 3, which is 8. If you did it that
What's
way.
not listed?
I want to do one last problem, then I'm done. I want to look at the very last one, number 20.
Times -2.
Okay. And when you multiply by -2 on each side, what does that do to my inequality?
Switching it.
And so then we can subtract the 11. So get x is greater than -7. So I have a handout for you now.